everyone, welcome to CSI. It's me Saugat, and today in this lecture video, we are going to talk about a mathematical topic, real numbers and function. Without wasting any time, let's go to our video screen. Okay, for today our topic is real number and function. And in this tutorial, mostly we are going to talk about calculus and linear algebra. Okay, what would be the learning objective of today's video? Basically, we'll learn about the basic concept of calculus, mainly differential equation, integral, and then mastery about number system and intervals, and then solve inequalities, and then learn about what are functions, what actually means inverse function, composite function, and then find the domain range of the function. Okay, first of all, what is calculus? Originally, calculus was originated by Sir Isaac Newton and William Leibniz. Calculus basically means continuous change, and originally it was known as infinitesimal calculus. Basically means very small change. Means it was the mathematical study that study about the small change, known as in basically time, velocity, speed, something like this. And mostly we'll talk about calculus finders, foundations and types of calculus, what are numbers and intervals, and talk more about inequalities, and then dive into the topics of functions and domains, and we'll talk about advanced function concepts in another video. Okay, firstly, there are two types of calculus. First one is differential calculus, which basically means differential equations, and second is integral calculus, which is integration. And differential calculus focuses mainly on the change of the rate of change, or also known as slopes of curves, slopes of line. We will calculate slopes using differential calculus. And integral calculus mainly focuses on areas under the curve, volume of something objects. It calculates basically area under the curve. And differential calculus mainly calculate slope of the curve. It can be a straight line or any curve. Okay, what are number system and intervals? Basically, this figure includes all the possible numbers you can ever imagine in your life. Let's first dive into this topic, which is natural number system. Okay, natural number system basically means number system from 1 to infinity, positive infinity. It basically includes all positive numbers without any decimal. It basically includes 1, 2, 3, 4, to infinity. And whole number system includes zero as well as number system, natural number system. And integers include negative natural number as well as whole number and positive natural number. So integral integers basically are natural numbers, whole numbers with negative natural numbers, and rational number system are those number system in which numbers can be written in the form of a by b, like 2 by 3, 0.67. Means fractional numbers are basically rational number, but there is also known as irrational numbers. And real number system, it includes both rational number system as well as irrational number system, like pi, root 5, root 2. Irrational number system basically are the value of 5, like there is 3.1415 to something. We don't know the in point of the pi, so they are irrational number system. And real number system includes both rational number system as well as irrational number system. And there is complex number system, which you must have read in 11 12. It basically includes all real numbers as well as the number system include I means root under -1. So all real numbers are also complex number in the form of a plus bi. For example, you take 7 plus 0 times I. Basically, 7 is also an complex number. So if anything that can be written in the form of a plus bi, it is complex number, and all real numbers are complex number. Okay, here is the basic property of mathematics. We must have read in from our grade 5. Basically, it means positive into positive always gives positive, and negative times negative always gives positive. Same sign always gives positive, same sign always gives positive, and different sign give negative, different sign gives negative. This is the basic property of multiplication. Okay, let's visualize real number system in number line. We have this number line. Let's say -4 to 4. Let's take origin as 0. Okay, here you can see many numbers from -4 to 4. If you take any two numbers from 0 to 1, how many numbers are between 0 and 1? Can you guess? Just 1, 0.5? No, there are infinite numbers between 0 and 1 because there is 0.1, 0.01, 0.0001, 0.00001. Basically, there are infinite numbers between any two real numbers. Okay, we'll talk about intervals in short time. Understanding intervals. Interval is the collection of all real numbers between any two real numbers. Basically, 0 and 1 is interval, and the numbers between two intervals between this interval is infinite. Like how many real numbers are there in between 1 and 2? Basically, there are infinite numbers. The concept of interval is this, like open interval and close interval and half open interval. Okay, if you talk about open interval, it is excluding endpoints, means both endpoints cannot be included within numbers. If it was open number, then 0 and 1 wouldn't be included, but all numbers between 0 and 1 would be included. And in closed interval, both inputs are included. 0 and 1 are included. If you talk about half open interval, where is closed, the number is included, and where there is open, the number is not included. We'll see and visualize in a short time. You can see this example. This visualizes about interval very much. Like this is closed interval, means both are filled, both circle are filled, means a is also included, b is also included, and all the numbers between a and b are also included. Remember this. And in open interval, a and b are not included, but all the numbers between a and b are included. And in half open interval like this, a is included because the circle is filled in at point A, and B is not included, but all the numbers between A and B are included, including A also. Okay, and this in this case, B is included, A is not included, but all the numbers between A and B are included. Okay, for example, if you take this interval -3, 2, and closed interval are represented by big bracket, whereas small bracket represents open interval. Okay, in number lines you can represent like this. Filled circle means close bracket, close interval, and this is open interval, means -3 is included but 2 is not included, but all the numbers between -3 and 2 are included. Basically, this interval represents this number line. Okay, you can see -3 is inclusive but 2 is not inclusive, or 2 is exclusive, 2 is not included. Okay, you can see this example. Which interval does the given number line represent? Which interval does this given line represent? Can you write in the form of interval, like using brackets? I give you 5 seconds and then I'll use. First of all, we use there the arrow goes to infinity, means negative infinity, and this is positive infinity, And in case of infinities, we always use small bracket. Remember that, okay? So for this case, what should we use as an interval? We use, see, minus infinity, comma, comma, -2, -2. Which bracket should we use there? We use big bracket because in -2 there is closed interval, means 2 is included, -2 is included, but we cannot include negative infinity or positive infinity. So always remember, in case of infinity, we always use open bracket, means infinity never cannot be included in number system, number line. Okay, let's talk about inequalities. This is less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to, or this is not equals to. Okay, inequalities on number line. How can you represent x is less than equals to 11? Here 11 less than means towards the negative, negative of infinity. So we write like this, directing towards negative infinity. So there is equals to sign, so we use close interval, and in this case x is greater than 11 means towards positive infinity, greater than means positive, towards positive infinity, but here is no equals to sign, so we doesn't include 11, so you use open bracket. Okay, clear? Till now, if you got any queries, you can just comment down below. I will try to personally reach towards you and reply in comments. Or we have Discord channel, or I have given my mail. You can simply ask whether in my WhatsApp, email, or Discord group. It's your choice. I am feel free to reach out and solve any doubts. I will try to do my best by researching or something like that. I will try to answer your question. Okay, let's go to solving the real life inequalities problem. First of all, try to solve it yourself and don't look at this answer. I have already included in my slides. So this is the question. X 2x plus 1 is greater than 5. How to solve? Simply remember one thing. Make x alone, just exclude every numbers. So first we exclude plus 1 by subtracting both sides by 1, and then dividing both sides by 2, we get x is greater than 2. Make, we make x only x in left hand side or right hand side. So we make x alone, and the value of inequality is x is greater than 2. So in number line we can represent as greater than means towards positive infinity. So towards positive infinity, but there is open interval because there is no equals to sign. Okay, compound inequalities like this. How to solve this kind of question? This kind of question. Basically, the concept is same. To make x alone, first of all, subtracting both all the sides by 3 and dividing all the sides by 2, we get this inequality. And in number line, we can represent as x is greater than 1. Greater than 1 means towards positive infinity. And x is greater than, there is no equal to sign. So we use open bracket. And then another is x is less than equals to 5. Less than equals to 5 means towards negative infinity. And there is equals to sign. So we use close interval like this. Okay, the numbers between 1 and 5 all are included. Also 5 is included because of equals to sign, but 1 is not included because there is no equals to sign in this interval. Okay, here is notation and interval table which you can use. Basically, if a is less than x is less than b, both are closed in open interval, and this is closed interval, this is half open interval, and this is half open interval. Because if there is close bracket in B means B is included. If close bracket is in A, then A is included. Okay. Okay, let's go to another question. Polynomial, like this kind of question. These are very important question. Like in exam perspective also, these are very important. The solution approach is basically same for all these kind of question. Basically, we need to find, first of all, we need to find root of the inequality, root of the function. So this is already factorized, so we just find root of the function by equaling x minus 1 equals to 0. We get x equals to 1, and then x plus 4 equals to 0, we get x equals to minus 4, and then x minus 2 equals to 0, we get x equals to 2, and then x plus 3 equals to 0, we get x equals to minus 3. So these are the root of this inequality, for which the inequality becomes 0. Okay, and basically they are the root of the function which gives value 0. Okay, and then we write in interval form like this. Well, okay, what is the least smallest value in number line? This basically it is negative infinity, and in this case, which is the smallest? There is minus 4. So minus infinity to minus 4, minus 4 to minus 3, and minus 3 to 1, and 1 to 2, and 2 to positive infinity, which is greater than greatest value in real number system. So we get these intervals. Okay, this interval can give both positive as well as negative, because we just required negative, we just require intervals which gives negative value, and these values give 0. So we doesn't include these numbers, so we are writing in form of open interval, not close interval. Remember this. Okay, and let's check for each term. And if you check for each term, like putting value between minus infinity to minus 4, let's say minus 5, you will always get positive number. And in case of this, let's say minus 3.5, you get negative, and in the case of this you get positive, and in case of 1 to 2 you always get negative, and in case of 2 to plus infinity you always get positive. I have already written the solution. You can just took the number between any two numbers like minus 4 to minus 3. You can simply take minus 3.5 and put the value in this inequality, and you will always get less than 0, means negative number. So I have already done it. So our solution would be, what we are asking for, what the question is asking for, less than 0 means negative. Which intervals gives negative? Basically this one and this one. So we write as 1 comma 2, 1 comma 2 union minus 4 comma 3, minus 4 comma 3. So basically this is our required answer, and in number line we can represent it as 1 to 2, both are open bracket, and minus 4 to minus 3, minus 4 to minus 3, this is also open interval. Okay, this is very important question. You can basically solve in this exact format, because here you can see the language process also, and basically you understand what the question is asking for and gives its result like this. And you can just simply, if the question is just asking for interval, you can simply let it be like this. And if the question is asking for number line system also, you can represent it like this also. Okay, let's talk about functions. What are functions? For me, functions are basically like machines, a computer. Basically you give some input and it processes something and gives output. And in language form, a function is a special type of relation in which every element of set A must be associated with unique element of set B, and where set A is domain and set B is codomain. Okay, let's see this example. Like set A is domain, set B is codomain, also known as range, because Every element are associated with unique element of set B. Every element of set A are associated with unique element of set B. And the function is fx equals to x square. Function from A to B. So this is our function. It takes some input, processes it, and gives output. So this is our function. Like if you give 1 square, it's give 1, 2 square, 4, 3 square, 9. So this is our function. Okay, for your question, answer this in comment below. So if x have 1, 2, 3 as domains and D, B, C as codomain, so is this function or not? Comment down below. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about domain of the function. We already know domains means basically the inputs value we give to the function. Okay, for any linear function, always the domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, and in case of root x plus 2, okay, remember domains are, first of all we should know what the function is telling from real numbers to real numbers. Okay, in this function if you if you write any value of x like from negative infinity to positive infinity, the result of fx would always be from negative infinity to positive infinity. It could not be a complex number or infinity or something like that. Okay, and in case of like this square root, in square root there cannot be a negative number, so we have a uh, like this, we can write like this: x plus 2 should always be greater than equals to 0. It can be 0 because root under 0 equals to 0, but it cannot be negative number, so we write like this: x plus 2 is greater than equals to 0 and x is greater than equals to minus 2. In interval form we can write like this: domain equals to minus 2 comma infinity, where minus 2 is also included because of equals to sign. Okay, this function, let's say this function fx equals to 1 divided by x square minus 1. Okay, what could we don't just watch this and try to think it yourself. What could be the domain of the function? Domain means what could be the value of x so that it doesn't become infinity or it doesn't give complex number. So we have this. We remember one thing: we cannot divide some numbers by 0. So this is in divisible, means it is in denominator, so it could not be 0. We have this. Okay, and if you take common, and x could not be 0 and x minus 1 could not be 0, so x could not be 1 and x could not be 1. So the domain could be all real numbers except 0 and 1, or in interval form we can write like this. Okay, let's talk about composite and inverse of the function. What is composite function? Composite function means any two functions which are combined. For example, for this function, for for g, x is domain and gx is range, and for f, gx is domain and this is range of f, and this whole is f of gx. Means basically this is composite function. Okay, let's for example take this function fx equals to x square plus 1 and gx equals to x plus 1. If we are trying to calculate f of gx, means composite function, first of all replace value of gx with its real value. What's the real value of gx? It's x plus 1, so we write x plus 1, and for fx it is 2x square plus 1, 2x square plus 1. But remember one thing, here we have written x plus 1 instead of x because we have f x plus 1, so we just replace value of x with its value like this, and if you simplify we can just calculate it answer, and we have to find out f of g3, so we just simplify it using value of x, replacing value of x with 3, and we get 33 as our answer. And if you talk about inverse of the function means reverse, reverse, basically reverse of the function, and it is denoted by f of inverse, f inverse. And if you take, for example, this function fx equals to 3x plus 2, and we have two three steps, basically two three steps from which we can calculate the inverse of the function. For example, if you take fx equals to 3x plus 2, first of all we need to replace fx with y, replacing fx with y, and then interchanging the value of x and y, interchanging x y, and then y equals to x, and then finding the value of y. 2 goes to there and dividing both side by 3, we get x minus 2 by 3. So basically this is our inverse. Okay, replacing y with f inverse x. So this is our inverse function of our fx function. Okay, basically we have learned much about function, and we how can we like, if we have given a graph, and how can we identify if it is a if the curve is function or not, basically by doing vertical line test. For example, if you take this curve and draw a vertical line, it if it cuts only one point, at only one point, then it is function. But if it cuts at more than 2 points, then it is not a function. Okay, okay, and let's go to straight lines. What straight lines are? Basically, they are the simplest type of function, and a line is determined by its slope. Slope means gradient, and slope means steepness or direction of the line. Basically, we can calculate slope using any 2 points. For example, in this particular example, the straight line from A to B, we have given 2 points A and B. The value of A is x1 comma y1, and B is x2 comma y2. So basically we can find the value of slope by using this formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And basically it is formula for any 2 points of given line. And if you talk about point slope form, basically a equation of line passing through a certain point, in this example x naught comma y naught, and having slope m. We have given slope and 2 points y naught and x naught. We can find the equation of the line by using this formula, y minus y naught equals to m x minus x naught. And if we have given 2 points, 2 points, but there is no slope, then we can use this formula, y minus y1 equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Basically we are replacing the value of m. Basically this is the same formula, this and this is same formula, but we are just replacing the value of m with this formula. Okay, basically this was our total topic for today's video. Hope it was helpful to you, and we will talk more about the concept of mathematics in further videos. So till then, bye bye and have a good time.